Welcome to our channel. Today, we will discuss how Stoicism can help us deal with what has become the norm for most of us: stress at work. We all face difficult situations, deadlines, and overload. Work-related stress has become a common state for millions of people. But what if I told you there is a way to handle this stress without diving into an emotional storm, but instead finding inner peace? Many of us face situations every day that lead to stress. We rush from one deadline to the next, feel the weight of more and more tasks piling up on us, and start to feel anxious about every new item on our to-do list. It becomes a real challenge. Work stress not only prevents us from working efficiently, but it also affects our health, mood, and overall well-being. Statistics show a troubling trend. According to studies, around 80% of workers worldwide experience stress at work. This number continues to grow every year. Deadline issues, difficult relationships with colleagues, unfair criticism, all these factors add pressure and lead to chronic stress. Sometimes it feels like stress has become an inseparable part of our workday, and it's impossible to avoid. So, why do we experience stress at work so often? The question each of us faces is not just, how can I deal with this? But, why does this happen? The answer lies in several key factors. 1. Unrealistic expectations. We often expect that work will go smoothly, tasks will be easily solved, and colleagues and bosses will support us when needed. But reality doesn't always match our expectations. Problems with deadlines, complex tasks, dissatisfaction from colleagues and bosses, all of this becomes part of our daily routine. And instead of accepting this as an inevitable part of the job, we start to worry, feeling like we're not managing. 2. High competition levels. We live in a world where competition has become an inseparable part of the work process. In the quest for recognition and success, we begin to fight for attention and resources. This causes additional stress and anxiety, especially when the results of our work don't always meet expectations. 3. Problems with colleagues and bosses. Sometimes, the most stressful moments at work aren't related to the work itself, but to how we interact with those around us. Conflicts, misunderstandings, and lack of support can lead to constant stress, which not only disrupts our work but also undermines our confidence. How many times have you felt that things at work are not going the way you would like? You feel like you can't change the situation, and emotions start to overwhelm you, preventing you from focusing. Does this sound familiar? Stoicism is a philosophy that can help us change how we perceive these situations. It teaches us not to fight against external circumstances that we can't change, but to learn how to manage our reactions to these events. Stoics assert that the key to tranquility lies in being prepared for difficult times, not worrying about what is beyond our control, and learning to look at problems from a different perspective. Stoicism and the principle of the distinction of control. One of the main principles of Stoicism is the distinction of control. This idea revolves around distinguishing what we can change and what we cannot. All events in our life can be divided into two categories. 1. What we cannot control. These are external circumstances, the behavior of others, events that happen outside of our will. 2. What we can control. These are our thoughts, feelings, reactions, and our attitude toward what is happening. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoics, said that nothing can shake a person's peace if they are prepared for difficult times. He didn't expect everything to be perfect, but he was ready for hardships and taught how to face them with philosophical calmness. Epictetus, another great Stoic, asserted that we should focus only on things that are within our power and stop fighting against what we cannot change. This golden rule helps reduce stress because we stop worrying about what is beyond our control. Thus, Stoicism helps us learn to separate what's important from what's not, and to focus on our inner world rather than external circumstances. This is a crucial step in reducing stress and regaining control over our emotions. Stoicism is a philosophy that helps us view the world from a different perspective. It teaches us not to depend on external circumstances but to learn to control our reactions to what happens. But how does this work in the context of work and the stress we face daily? In this section, we will explore specific Stoic techniques and principles that can help you reduce stress at work, deal with difficult situations, and find inner peace. The technique of the external observer. One of the powerful tools Stoics use to control their emotions is the technique of the external observer. This is a simple yet effective practice that allows us to distance ourselves from our emotions and respond to events more consciously. When we are under stress, we often become fully absorbed in the situation. We begin to react to triggers automatically, not realizing that our reaction only amplifies the stress. Stoics teach us to learn to be observers of our emotions, not participants. How does it work? Imagine you are watching yourself from the outside, like a character in a movie. How would you evaluate your reaction to the current situation? This helps you distance yourself from your emotions and not be their slave. When you're not caught up in the emotional storm, it's much easier to make more rational and calm decisions. Example from the life of Marcus Aurelius. One of the most famous Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, was the emperor of Rome and faced immense pressure and many challenging situations. However, he managed to maintain his composure even in the most difficult conditions. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius frequently wrote about the importance of accepting hardships and maintaining inner balance. For example, he wrote, "When something bothers you, stop and think about what exactly you can change." This advice is also applicable to work situations. When you feel that things are getting out of control, stop and think about what is causing you stress. Can you change the circumstances? Or is your stress caused by trying to control what is beyond your influence? This will help you consciously choose how to react. The practice of regular reflection. One of the most powerful Stoic techniques is reflection. This refers to a continuous process of self-observation and analyzing our reactions. Stoics don't just analyze their emotions after stressful situations, but they use these experiences as opportunities for growth. Continuous reflection allows us to become more mindful and less susceptible to stress. How can you practice reflection? Reflection is not a one-time process. It's a constant habit that over time becomes part of your thinking. For example, at the end of each workday, you can ask yourself several questions. What caused me stress today? How did I react to the situation? Could I have handled it differently? What can I do in the future to avoid this stress? Stoics teach us to view every experience as a lesson. Every challenging situation at work is an opportunity to learn how to better control our emotions and make calmer decisions in the future. Managing expectations and having a realistic view of the situation. Stress often arises due to a mismatch between expectations and reality. We often create ideal scenarios in our heads of how events should unfold at work. Perfect relationships with colleagues, quick completion of tasks, attention from management. However, reality rarely matches our expectations, and this leads to disappointment and stress. How can Stoicism help? Stoics teach us not to expect perfection from the world and people. Instead of demanding the impossible, they encourage us to accept the world as it is, with all its imperfections. It's important to understand that stress doesn't arise because something went wrong, but because we don't accept reality as it is. Seneca said, "It is not the world that constantly changes, but you. You need to become the person who calmly accepts everything that happens around you." This means that we must learn to be ready for any event, even if it doesn't meet our expectations. Instead of stressing, we can accept it as part of life, something we can't always control. This approach significantly reduces stress. Practical exercise. The reflection technique. To reinforce what we've learned, let's try applying Stoic principles in practice. One of the most useful exercises is the reflection technique, which will help you better understand the causes of stress and learn to deal with it. 1. Record stress situations. Every day for a week, write down in a notebook or app what exactly caused you stress at work. It could be a difficult task, criticism from a colleague, or simply the feeling of being overloaded. 2. Analyze your reaction. Write down not just the situation itself, but also your reaction to it. How did you feel? Why did it cause stress? How did you react? 3. Ask yourself questions. Oh, what can I control in this situation? Oh, what depends on me? And what depends on other people or circumstances? Oh, how could I have responded stoically to this stress? 4. Apply this in practice. After analyzing the situation, try to respond more consciously and calmly next time. Remember, your main tool is managing your emotions, not external circumstances. Let's continue exploring Stoicism as a powerful tool for managing stress at work. We've already discussed the importance of external observation, reflection, and managing expectations, but Stoics offer other key principles that can significantly reduce stress and help you navigate any challenging situations. The principle of the distinction of control. One of the most important principles of Stoicism is the distinction of control. This principle involves clearly distinguishing what is within our control and what is not. Stoics argue that we should focus only on what we can change and let go of the things that are beyond our influence. How does this help in managing work stress? Stress often arises from trying to control things that we cannot change. For example, we can't control the behavior of our colleagues, the actions of our superiors, circumstances related to projects, or external factors like the economy or competition. But we can control our reactions to these events, our approach to work, and how we interact with people. How to apply the principle of the distinction of control. 1. Identify what can be changed in your situation. For example, you can't control your colleagues' attitudes or the speed at which work gets done, but you can control how you handle tasks, how you manage your time, and how focused you are on getting the job done. 2. Let go of what cannot be changed. If a project is not going according to plan due to external circumstances, like changes in the economy or company policies, try not to dwell on it. Instead, focus on what you can do within your role and accept the situation as it is. This principle helps to lift the mental burden, freeing up energy for tackling the tasks that truly matter and reducing stress caused by attempting to change the uncontrollable. The principle of viewing situations as opportunities for growth. Another important Stoic principle is to perceive all situations, even the most stressful and difficult ones, as opportunities for personal growth. Stoics believe that through challenges and obstacles, one gains wisdom and strength. Difficulties are not something to avoid, but something to learn how to deal with. This principle can be summarized as, every obstacle is an opportunity to become better. How does this work in the context of work? If you find yourself in a difficult situation at work, you might be worried about not completing a task on time, receiving criticism from colleagues, or failing to meet expectations. But in the Stoic spirit, every such situation is a chance for growth. No matter how difficult it may be, a stressful situation is what allows you to become more patient, more composed, and more flexible in problem solving. When we view difficulties as opportunities to improve, stress begins to work for us, not against us. Instead of worrying about the challenges we face, we start using them as stepping stones for our development. Practical exercise. Viewing difficulties as opportunities for growth. Let's try to apply the principle of seeing difficulties as opportunities for growth in practice. 1. Identify the stressful situation. What is causing you stress at work? It could be a challenging project, criticism from colleagues, or issues with a deadline. 2. Reframe the situation. Instead of just seeing it as a problem, try asking yourself the following questions. Oh, how could this help me become better? Oh, what skills or qualities can I develop by facing this problem? Oh, what can I learn from this situation that will help me in the future? 3. Take action. By applying the Stoic approach, you will start acting more calmly and confidently. Stress won't paralyze you but will become a stimulus for growth. The principle of inner world and self-sufficiency. Stoics teach us an important idea. The inner world of a person should be self-sufficient. This means that we should develop the ability to be happy and satisfied, regardless of external circumstances. For Stoics, true happiness does not depend on work, success, or external approval. This principle is especially relevant in the modern work environment, where there is often pressure, competition, and a constant race for achievements. Stoics offer a different approach, learning to find inner peace, no matter what happens in our professional surroundings. How does this help in managing work stress? 1. Don't attach your happiness to external outcomes. Of course, it's important to do your work well, but it's crucial not to believe that your happiness depends solely on success at work. This helps reduce stress, as you won't be overwhelmed by external factors like colleagues or supervisors' opinions. 2. Develop inner confidence. Stoics teach us that our inner world and self-sufficiency provide the ability to remain calm when external circumstances are in chaos. When we learn to seek inner balance and not rely on external factors, stress begins to dissipate because we no longer allow the outside world to control our inner world. So, we've reached the conclusion of our discussion. But this is far from the end of applying Stoic principles in practice. Stoicism is a philosophy that helps us learn to manage our inner state and therefore stress. It offers specific tools and principles that help us find calm even in the most challenging situations. 1. The distinction of control. Learn to distinguish what you can change from what you cannot, and let go of what is beyond your control. 2. Reflection. Regularly analyze your reactions to stressful situations to better understand yourself and reduce stress. 3. Viewing difficulties as opportunities for growth. See challenges as opportunities to improve, not obstacles. 4. Inner peace and self-sufficiency. Strive for an inner world that is not dependent on external factors. By applying these principles, you can significantly reduce stress at work, learn to handle difficult situations, and achieve inner peace. Most importantly, Stoicism teaches us that true calm and happiness do not come from the external world, but from how we perceive it and what actions we take in response. Practical exercise to conclude. To solidify your understanding, take a moment to reflect on today. What situations caused you stress? What aspects of Stoicism can you apply to respond to these situations with less anxiety next time? Write down your thoughts and take the first step toward becoming more stoic in your life. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Already in the comments, like-minded people are sharing their thoughts and experiences, supporting each other. Let's learn together how to stay calm in any situation, overcome challenges, and achieve harmony.